Yes, students. So we'll do about control of respiration. Okay. In our last class, we have finished with oxygen dissociation curve. We have seen the reasons for the release of carbon dioxide. Now, today we'll be doing the control of respiration. That is how respiration is controlled by two methods, that is nervous control and chemical control. In our 10th class, we have already studied in the chapter chemical control and coordination about the two systems, that is the nervous system and the endocrine system. And we all know that both these systems work in coordinated manner for performing any of the life process or for continuation of any of the life processes very smoothly in our body. So first we'll see the control of respiration, that is nervous control of respiration, and then afterwards we'll be seeing about the chemical control of coordination, chemical control of respiration. So in nervous control there are three respiratory control centers. What are those? Inspiratory center, expiratory center and pneumotaxic center. These three centers are also known as rhythmicity center. Rhythmicity centers, and so we'll be seeing about each of them one by one. First is inspiratory center. Where it is present? It is present on medulla. We all know the different parts of our brain. So it is brain and spinal cord. So this is what is inspiratory center is present on the medulla, and when there is normal breathing, this inspiratory center has a role when there is normal breathing. So in normal process means normal breathing, inspiratory center has a role. Basically, when we breathe in one respiratory cycle is of 5 seconds, okay, which includes inspiration and expiration. One respiratory cycle is made up of inspiration and expiration. And inspiration, out of these 5 seconds, inspiration is for 2 seconds and expiration is for 3 seconds. This comes to 3 plus 2, 5 seconds. So this is the time duration, that is when we are breathing normally. Like now I am talking, I am speaking as well as I am breathing. I am breathing normally. I am not putting any extra effort to breathe in or breathe out. So at this time my inspiratory center is working, that is it is performing the normal respiratory cycles, that is normal breathing. I can breathe normally because of this, controlled by the inspiratory center. My inspiratory center is controlling my normal breathing. Then next is expiratory center. This occurs when there is forceful exhalation. We have already studied about forceful exhalation. So when we are forcefully exhaling air out, that time expiratory center has a role. Like inspiratory center, this expiratory center is also present on medulla only. It is normally inactive or dormant during normal breathing, because during normal breathing, which center is active? It is the inspiratory center. So during normal breathing, this expiratory center is dormant or inactive. This expiratory center becomes active during forceful exhalation. During forceful exhalation, this expiratory center, we can say that this expiratory center controls forceful exhalation, or it helps us in forcefully exhaling out air. And then the third rhythmicity center is the pneumotaxic center. This center is located on pons varolii. So remember, inspiratory and expiratory centers are located on medulla, whereas the pneumotaxic center is located on the pons varolii. Now, what is the role of this pneumotaxic center? During exercise, the breathing rate increases. We breathe faster, but it gets shallower. Shallower means we are during exercise we are breathing fast, but the air which is going in and out, it is less. The air moving in and out is less, but we are breathing faster. Like when we are exercising, so what happens, that is the air, because when we exercise we breathe very heavily, we breathe faster, and when we breathe faster, so exchange of air, it is inspiration and expiration takes place, but the amount of air which goes in and which moves out is less, but it appears as if means we are breathing very faster. We try to take more amount of air, but actually the air does not go in that faster. The air moving in our body or moving out, it is comparatively slower, but it appears that our ribs moves quite faster, and it appears that we are breathing quite quickly. But actually what happens is that our breathing rate of course increases, but it is shallower, means amount of air going in and moving out is comparatively less. And this we can see in case of dogs. In summer season you must have seen that dogs take their tongues out and they panting. That is, they take their tongue out, and saliva, you must have seen that saliva drips from their tongue, and they are panting because they feel so hot that they are panting. But in the same time, during that time also what happens, they are breathing very fast, but actually it is shallower. Okay, the amount of air going in and moving out is comparatively less, but they are breathing faster. The breathing rate increases. This is we can say this is during extreme conditions. Okay, during extreme conditions these things happens, because during exercise or in summer season, that is panting occurs. Normally dogs don't show this panting. They pant only during the summer season. So that is an exceptional case. As well as during exercise we breathe normally, but this when we exercise, that time our breathing rate increases, but it is shallower, and so at that time the pneumotaxic center becomes active and it controls our breathing rate. So these three are these three rhythmicity centers basically, which are present on our nervous system, that is on the medulla and pons varolii, controls respiration. Now we'll be studying about chemical control of respiration, and we all know that chemical means we are talking about certain hormones or certain hormonal agencies. Okay, like we are talking about certain hormones or certain centers which is regulated by hormones. Yes, so this is the chemical control. There are certain for chemical control, there are certain chemosensitive bodies present, that is the carotid body and the aortic body. Okay, so carotid body is present at the base of carotid sinus. There are different sinuses present in our body, and all have different names based on the location. So there is one carotid sinus, and this carotid body is present at the base of the carotid sinus, and next is aortic body is present at the base of aorta. You all know where aorta is present. What is the role of aorta? It carries pure blood, oxygenated blood to entire body, okay, from the heart. So that is, the aortic body is present at the base of aorta, and carotid body is present at the base of carotid sinus. And what is the role of these two bodies? They are very sensitive to, they are chemosensitive, means they are sensitive to chemicals. Chemo means chemicals, sensitive to chemicals. And what is the chemicals here? Why we are calling it as chemical control? Sorry. That is, here the chemicals are oxygen and carbon dioxide. So these chemosensitive bodies, this carotid body and aortic body, are very sensitive to oxygen and carbon dioxide. It is PO2 and PCO2. Now first we'll see about PCO2. How PCO2 affects respiration. How the amount or how this chemical control is done by this aortic and carotid bodies in case of carbon dioxide. So aortic and carotid bodies are more sensitive to PCO2. They are more sensitive to PCO2. That's why I have written here PO2, that in PO2 that is chemosensitive bodies are very less sensitive to PO2. So ultimately their action reaction will be all based on the carbon dioxide concentration and not on the oxygen concentration. So they are more sensitive to PCO2. Now what happens when partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases? So these two bodies, carotid and aortic bodies, get stimulated, and as these carotid and aortic bodies get stimulated, with their stimulation of these two bodies, the expiratory muscles get stimulated, and as the expiratory muscles get stimulated, we start exhaling more. And what do we exhale? We exhale more of carbon dioxide. Like just as the amount of carbon dioxide increases in our body, quickly these aortic and carotid bodies get stimulated, and expiratory, as a result of stimulation of these two bodies, that is expiratory muscles, get stimulated, and we start breathing out. Okay, that is we start breathing out carbon dioxide. So this is what the chemical control is. Very simple. This much was only about the chemical control. Just these carotid and aortic bodies have their role, and since they are sensitive to CO2, so just as the amount of CO2 increases in our body, so expiratory muscles, bodies get stimulated, and as a result of which expiratory muscles get stimulated, and finally we start breathing out, and we start breathing out more and more. So as a result of which the carbon dioxide is released out from our body, and PCO2 level in our body comes back to normal again. This is what is control of respiration. First we have studied nervous control, and this was chemical control. Now next in our next video, next topic we'll be studying about is respiratory disorders. Means what are the respiratory problems that may occur.